So it's the 5th of March and we're out into a field that's about a 4-year-old orchard grass orange tag blend. And you can see the damage that the winter winds have done. That 1 week there in January that came in there, and the temperature dropped extremely hard from 3 degrees at noontime to minus 12 at midnight was just too much for these fields. So I've noticed by driving around and looking at a lot of the fields, the older stands of grass that are 4, 5, 6 years old, for sure probably should be rotated out. There's no grass really here to harvest the first cutting off. So a lot of people are taking these fields, going to rotate this one into corn, taking one of the corn fields where the cover crops have died on and putting that one into new seeding grass. And I'll show you some of the pots from I put in the greenhouse for close to 3 weeks now of the cover crops. There's only one pot of the 3, and I took them from Sumas Prairie, Greendale, and Chilliwack. Has got a couple little spurts coming out, which is similar to what I see in these fields. There's nothing coming back from those pots of the cover crop that had fallen over and died. It's coming back from the roots, but very little and very sparse, and that's what I see in probably 95% of the fields. There's a few fields that are protected from the wind that don't look too bad, but again, they're not really nice and thick, and so we'll just see how they go once we start getting into the first week of April, whether we're going to fertilize them or just leave them be and plow them up early and get the corn in on time. So again, but my concern now is looking at some of these older stands of grass that we've got. They're really been damaged as well. So a field like this one here, there's really nothing here, and we're going to plow this one up and throw it into corn. But take a look at your fields and see what you think when you look around, especially some of the older fields. The best advice I can give you because of the corn rootworm that is in your current corn fields is to put those fields into new seeding grass and take an old sod field like this one, plow it up, and then put it into corn early so that we have everything kind of set to go, and hopefully we get all the corn in the ground by the 15th of May, and then we're kind of protected. The roots get really well established before we get the hot weather predicted to come up in July and August. So we want to make sure the plants are planted on time. A few people have phoned me too and said, well, is it possible I could take one of these old fields that have died from the cover crops and put Italian ryegrass in there and see if I can't get a crop before the middle of May? Well, a bit of a concern with that is that the ground temperature is so cold, and tonight it's supposed to go down to -4 and a little bit of snow again, and so we're not having an early spring. And as I look around, the tops of the mountains out here still have all snow on, and it was pretty cold, so nothing is really growing. So you probably can't seed it in until probably the 15th or 20th of March. And then if you do that, you got to wait for sure until maybe the very end of May to June before you get enough tonnage coming back off of it again. So, you know, be very, very careful. And if you don't have irrigation and you do that and you get about 3 or 4 round bales an acre off the cover crop that's regrowing that you replanted, you're going to lose out on the corn. So your corn's the number one thing. You plant your corn the end of May, first week of June, you're going to run into problems with that as well too. So my best advice to you is just leave it for the time being now, and work those fields up early, get your manure out early, get them set to go, get your corn in the ground, and that's probably a winning combination. I'd be very careful. Sometimes you can spend a lot of money on these fields. Again, it's bad enough losing the cover crop the first time. You definitely don't want to have to wait till June to get something there to cut and put the corn in really late. So again, take a look at your fields, and I would say a field like this to overseed is probably too old to overseed. You're much better off to plow it down. The fields that are 2 and 3 years old, those you can overseed, it makes sense. But the older sod fields, my best advice is just to plow them up, throw them in the corn, take one of the corn fields and put that in new seeding grass. That solves the corn rootworm problem because there is no corn rootworms in the old sod. So then you should be in pretty good shape. So let's see how we go. So far we're off to a bit of a colder spring and a later spring, but hopefully things turn around. They say around the 15th of March, the temperature is supposed to go up to 16, 17 degrees. Can hardly wait for that to get some of the grass growing again.